To tell you the truth, when I started my metaphysical studies and came across the concept that you create your own reality, it was like being punched in the stomach. At first, I didn't like the idea at all because it is so much easier to be a victim than to accept the idea that you had some sort of participation in creating your problems. Responsibility weighs and weighs a lot. And I know that many people find it difficult as well to accept this idea, especially when they have huge problems in life. If you switch the word problems per challenges and lessons, the perspective changes. The greater the difficulty, the greater the learning. I'm sure the most inspiring people you know are the ones that have faced great difficulties in life and managed to overcome them in a positive way. After I understood that this reality works as a big school for our consciousness to expand, evolve through the experiences we have here, I asked myself, if we create our own reality, how do we do that? And that's what I'm going to answer today. To understand how you create your own reality, you need to understand quantum physics. There is an experiment called the double slit, which proves that when not observed, the electron coexists in multiple places at the same time. But when observed, it collapses and assumes only one of the probable positions, which implies that the observer has a huge impact on what is being observed. It is a real and super complex experiment. If you want to understand it better, I spoke about it on my last video about quantum physics and parallel realities. And actually, this video here is a continuation of that one. I'll leave the link below so you can have a look at it later. Even science is moving in the direction that we live in a simulation. Yes, you got it right. Quantum physics indicates that we live in a simulated reality, and we have an infinite number of parallel realities to explore. Now, who or what is behind the simulation? Well, I guess it is up to each one of us to choose what to believe. For a more scientific approach, I recommend you to have a look at the physicists Amit Goswami and Robert Lanza. Lanza is a PhD that, based on these quantum physics principles where the observer impacts the reality, he wrote the biocentrism theory, which says that the universe is a projection of our consciousness and not the other way around as we're used to believe. And Amit Goswami calls the quantum physics the physics of the soul. He even wrote a book with this title. In quantum physics, the observer determines the outcome, but then the question is, who is the observer? Nothing less than consciousness itself. Scientifically speaking, it's very hard to define what is consciousness. Holistically speaking, it is your soul. Therefore, the consciousness of your soul is the observer of your life, which means it is projecting all this physical reality that you are experiencing right now. But pay attention, because there is a catch here. Your total consciousness is not limited to your conscious mind alone. In fact, your conscious mind is a very, very small part of your being. For you to understand the proportion, imagine that your total consciousness is a huge mansion. And if your conscious mind would try to see this whole mansion, its vision would be limited to a peephole or keyhole. And knowing that, it drives me crazy when I see people selling the idea that you can manifest or attract anything that you want in your life as if it was possible to do that using your conscious mind alone. Yes, you do create your whole reality, but it is with your total consciousness. And what is the total consciousness then? Most authors talk about conscious and subconscious mind. Personally, I like to divide the total consciousness in 3 parts in order to understand it better. Your conscious mind, which is the most limited part, your hyper-conscious, higher self, soul, oversoul, doesn't matter how you want to call it, which is the part that has chosen to be in the simulation and have this physical experience here on Earth, and your subconscious, which is the part that has received all the human programming ever since we're born in here, so you can operate on this level of reality. You create your own reality with all these 3 parts together. You don't just create, you co-create with everyone else on this planet. You need all these parts to be on the same wavelength for you to be able to manifest what you want or shift to a parallel reality that you prefer, because technically speaking, it already exists. I really hope that now you can understand why the law of attraction and the law of manifestation are not as simple as people like to think. Your conscious mind likes to think it is in control, but it is not, because as already said, it is the smallest part of your being. Your reality is formed mainly by what your soul wants and by the limitations in your subconscious. When your soul decides to have a physical experience here, it agrees and accepts everything that this kind of reality has to offer. Think about Earth as if it was a school that has a curriculum with all the topics that your higher consciousness can learn and explore. In this curriculum, there are several topics that are pertinent to this planet, and usually they are dual because it is a school of dualities and limitations. For example, wealth, poverty, pain, pleasure, love, fear. They look like opposites, but they're not. They belong to the same spectrum of energy. They're like the two faces of the same coin because you cannot understand the whole without understanding all the parts that make it up. After arriving here, your consciousness receives a conditioning so it can operate at this level of existence. Think about your mind as if it was a brand new cell phone. You need to install apps for it to work, right? In your mind's case, these apps are called belief systems. For each aspect of your life, you have multiple beliefs that most of the time were installed during your childhood, and they have a huge impact on the kind of reality that you experience. For example, if you grew up observing toxic relationships and you have beliefs like nobody wants a serious relationship, nobody of the opposite sex is good enough, to love is to suffer, how do you expect to manifest a healthy relationship in your life? Can you understand why Earth is a school of dualities and limitations? From your higher consciousness level, you are exploring dualities and learning how to balance energies. And from the subconscious level, you are exploring limitations because of all the limiting beliefs that you have received since you arrived here. People who teach the law of attraction and manifestation tell you to imagine and feel what you want as if it were already real. And the logic is quite simple. The language of the universe is energy and vibration. So when you align the two most energetic centers in your body, your mind and your heart, it becomes much easier to shift into the reality that you prefer. But today, I would like to suggest the opposite. Instead of controlling what you want to manifest, why don't you try to understand what you are already creating in your life? Before you learn how to manifest what you want, it is ideal that you first understand how you already do that. You need to learn to observe and identify how your higher self and your subconscious operate in your life. Your conscious mind needs to become as aware as possible of all these other aspects of your total being, and that requires a lot of self-knowledge. So, as you look at the aspects of your life, get into the habit of asking yourself, why am I creating this? What must I learn from it? Because as long as you don't learn the lessons your soul wants and you don't overcome your subconscious limitations, it will be impossible to change your reality. After you master this, then yes, you'll be able to have more control over what you are creating because it will be easier to identify what you need to do to align all levels of your consciousness and be able to manifest what you want. To learn more about quantum physics, have a look at this video here. I really hope today's video has helped you somehow. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.